Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode from Self Love is the Key Wellness. I am Kambria Caldwell, licensed marriage and family therapist, and I have with me here my dear friend, Porsche Brownridge. She's a certified victims of crime advocate and also a certified recovery alcohol and drug technician. Thank you so much for joining us today, my sister. And we're here to talk about healing and recovering from abuse, specifically abuse from narcissists, as well as overcoming mental health issues, depression, issues with self image and self esteem, and how we're going to continue to work on growing and ever evolving and creating our own journey towards self love and wellness.
Thank you for having me. What is it, 2024, and I asked for a divorce in 2020?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people say, oh, it'll take you 5 years to get over that last situation, your divorce, or to really recover. It takes 5 years because you got to get financially, you got to get yourself back together mentally, emotionally, physically, because 9 times out of 10, a narc will, prey on someone that's a caregiver, someone that loves to give and to be of service. And I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, that's just my nature. And I'm learning how to set up boundaries for that because everyone doesn't deserve the amount of energy you give to someone. And
Mm-hmm.
it took me a long time to get that. Like, I didn't tell him to put his hands on me. I didn't tell him to be unfaithful. I didn't tell him to emotionally neglect and abandon me.
You didn't ask for
In,
that
yeah,
treatment, ask for that treatment.
ever.
It happened after the fact, after he had already pulled you in, drawn you in.
Yeah, all the whole love bombing, the gaslighting, like my name wasn't even my name. I was called beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
because I grew up in a space, in a place that did not really, I didn't, see me as beautiful or really reaffirm my beauty,
Mm-hmm.
then that allowed me to open myself up to someone who really was a predator. He really wasn't in my best interest for me. It was for him. It took a toll on me that I wasn't where people say I should be. Like, oh, you're a graduate, you have a master's degree, you have this, you have that. Now it's, where's the kids? Where's this? Where's that? And not understanding that there's a story behind that. But now,
Mm-hmm.
looking back, because I'm maybe about a year ago, I started realizing what that really was. And I talked to people who were thinking about leaving, and I tell them, I said, the hardest part isn't the divorce. The hardest part is being left with yourself and no one else to blame but you. Because I started really focusing on my healing, and now I see the accountability. And I'll give you an example. The the marriage, I did not ask for the things that he did. However, I did provide. I allowed, or I accepted it because of my own fears. I was afraid of being alone. I was afraid of being abandoned. I felt like if I spoke up, he would leave me, and I would, and it goes back to my childhood. What I would, in my mind, it was my mom saying, you're only going to be as good as what you can do for someone. And I took that literally. So the fact that if he walked away or if I spoke up, um, I was afraid of the consequences. I was, because the consequences wasn't him, just the physical him walking away. It was really, dang, then that it said something about my persons. It said something about my character. It said something about um even like the marriage ending at first to me was a failure. I failed.
Mm-hmm.
You personalize it. And I think now I understand the accountability portion where it's like, okay, if this person, you've been loaning money to this one person over and over again, right? And they have consistently not paid you back.
Mm-hmm.
Then you do it again. Your complaint is falling on deaf ears because you knew what the outcome would be, and yet and still you still did it. So that for me is where I have to take accountability. Did I seek help? Did I um, say, you know what, I'm okay with maybe that person won't talk to me again. Oh, if I don't give him $10, he won't ever speak to me again. Then you have to be okay with that. But it's really setting the boundaries for yourself and knowing your value. And to be honest, I didn't know my value at the time. I really didn't, so that's been a big thing for me. There's a big difference between victim blaming and accountability. And I think in your healing process is when you learn that. I'm learning that if you don't speak life into yourself every day, nobody else will. And life will suck it out of you.
Right. The trauma that happened to you is not your fault, but your healing journey is your fault. That is on you.
It's a
That
completely. I'm learning the new me. I'm learning the new normal, like who am I? Like, and I'm still, it's funny, and I mean, if you have suggestions, I'm all for it. It's like, how do you find you in fashion? How do you find you in how you want to present yourself and things of that nature?
you asked about fashion in particular,
Yeah.
um, because you feel that you have focused so much on your job, on what you do for a living, right? And then taking care
Hmm.
of others and not really focused on things that you like about yourself. So this sounds more like self-confidence, self-esteem. That's kind of where I would take it.
Definitely.
I would take it
Hmm.
there and to say, take some time and ask yourself what you like, right? Ask
Hmm.
yourself what colors make you happy. Take time to look at yourself in the mirror and focus on the positive aspects of yourself, not focusing on the negative aspects of yourself. Also, I like what you said earlier about not asking other people to define who you are and not looking to other people for validation. Look at yourself for validation, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you find that you like a certain color, it makes you feel good.
Hmm.
Don't ask anybody else about the color. You pick the color and you wear that color, right?
Right.
Take
Right.
yourself out. Take yourself out on a shopping day, even if you're just window shopping, right? Not planning to purchase anything, and try on a bunch of outfits, different outfits, and just see what it looks like in the mirror for yourself, right?
Right.
See how you feel in the outfits, and
Yeah.
then if you want to come back and get it, or if you want to purchase it that day.
But I also enjoy and understand the importance of having a support group, having a tribe that you can trust, to be vulnerable with, because they understand where you are, but they also understand that you have to have a little push, and everyone can't push you. You can't have just,
Yeah,
oh.
that's something that you have to build trust around, right? You have to trust
Hmm.
certain people, and you have to have discernment in who really has your best interest versus who doesn't have your best interest at heart, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, if you have close friends and you trust their opinion, go with that. But what I was saying earlier is you don't have to wait on anybody to
Hmm.
affirm. There are
It's true.
times when you need to affirm yourself, right? Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you're the one who has to wear it. You're the one who has to wake up in the morning and look at yourself. You're the one who has to go through life with that thing on, right? So
Yeah.
also, make sure that you like it first and foremost because it's your body at the end of the day. But yes, of course, if you have
Yeah.
trusted people who you feel could steer in the right direction, yes, please do go to those people. Hmm.
Yeah. And I'm with you on that. Speak life into yourself. Wake up. Like, I wake up, I have the serenity prayer um that I read, And it's interesting because in recovery, they say that multiple times a day,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I didn't understand the importance of it as much until you start to really say those words. And sometimes you have to say those words even when you don't believe it. You
Hmm.
say it until you do, and that's just like the person who was saying, you ugly, right? You're like, no, I'm not, whatever, but if they said that for 3 years, every day, and even though you're like, no, I'm not, the moment that you feel that you're not up to par, those people's words play, they seep into your spirit. Every day is a process. Your healing is not a one moment. You're not going to be like, oh, I hit the top of the mountain, now I'm done. No, every day is a day that you choose what that day will be. And I've read and listened to your podcast, and girl, some amazing topics. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
one of them definitely being self-sabotaging, you
Hmm.
know, starting to incorporate what does that look like for me? The one that I loved the most was the shy, was it Shy the Nail Sergeant?
He
Yeah,
did one.
I know you had three parts about that. Love is a service.
Hmm.
And it's interesting to hear that because love being a service, it's also a choice. Like, this is your life. No one gets to tell you what to do or how to do it. Me, I want to say thank you to you and Coach Jay for providing those platforms of having these conversations and adding stories and people to the situations that's going on with us right now.
When I talk about like the vision of self love as a key wellness, it's not about one certain particular person. It's not about one particular age range. It's for everybody. It's for all people, but it is for people of color. So there is intention behind that, right? I feel that we have a message that can reach everybody, no matter where they are in life, because I think that we all can learn from each other, right? Which is also why I made it a point of not only talking to life coaches or only talking to therapists. I want to talk to people who have lived life, people who are amazing in their own right, right? Which is why I start out
Yes.
my nail tech, which is why I seek out like my friends, my loved ones. I have friends who are multi-talented. I mean, you, my best friend, multi-talented. I'm like, we need to be having discussions and have the discussions in an open platform and where everyone else can see like, hey, you're not alone,
Yeah.
right? And all of us have dreams, we all have aspirations, and there's nothing wrong with us trying to achieve them and helping each other out while we're on our journeys, our own individual self-love journeys that we're on, right? So it's about joining together, right? So as I was talking to one of my associates in my most previous episode, he talked about the fact that as Black people, we are collectivists. We're not individualized, right? We're here to help each other and support each other. Life is not easy, especially today. It's not the
Mm.
same world that our parents and grandparents grew up in. Life is expensive, and
Yes.
and I feel like we need to maximize this life while we have it, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So
Very
do
much.
the most that you can with what you can, with what you have, and also continue to be a student of life, continue to keep learning, and growing, because I think we should always be evolving. It's never going to be the end. It's not over till it's over, as they say.
Yes, I
Hmm.
agree with you 100%.
Hmm.
And I think that what you just said is so important to healing. If a person didn't go to school, oh, well, they can't speak to me about life. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Oh,
They
he's
sure
only 20 something years old, but he can talk to you.
sure can.
He can tell you the new generational terms. He can tell you how things are moving now. Oh, well, back in my day, that's great to know about your day. But we also need to know about now. We need to know about the past. And the one thing that I would have loved to do, and I'm gonna put it out there and manifest it, is that one day I hope to do like an oral project with people of color
Hmm.
who were born in my grandma's time, 1938s that are still living, that can still give us so many gems. Like recently I went to go see my grandmother's best friend. Okay. She's like 88 now. And she said, oh, baby, I need to show you my garden, which is her showing me her garden is something that she would have done with my grandmother. Okay.
Hmm.
So I know she misses her. And I
Hmm.
have no problems in learning, right? And I want to know, I want to see. So I
But
went back.
she's able to stay connected because
Yes,
through you, right? That's an
yes,
example of interconnectedness, you right?
it
Again, about
is.
using each other as resources, right? We call that natural supports in therapy, right? So
Mm,
healing doesn't stop at therapy. It doesn't even have to start at therapy, right? Healing can start with being one in nature, right?
yes,
Or sharing something with somebody else, or
yes.
helping someone, volunteering, taking an oral history from someone, right?
Yeah,
Giving someone else a voice, allowing them to share their story.
yeah,
There's so
all of
many
that.
ways to heal,
Yes.
right? Art, music, travel, right? Reading,
Hmm.
exercise, eating, healthy eating,
Yeah,
all those things. That healing means so many things.
it does.
It's up to us to, it's really up to us to access all the options that we have and then create our own self-love kit, so to speak.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. But you got to do that by getting yourself out there and exposing yourself to different ways of life and talking to
Right,
different people,
right.
right? Don't
And
limit yourself.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I agree with you on that, 100%. I would also add to that, prior to getting out there, take some time and self-reflect
Hmm.
and identify and be aware of who you are, how you show up. Because it took me a minute to accept that, people see me or engage or interact with me a certain way because I present myself a certain way. So I am 100% with you. I love the fact that you said a self-love kit
Hmm.
because I think you do have to make your own kit.
Hmm.
And I think going to see my grandmother's best friend, seeing her garden, it definitely is interconnectedness. It's definitely a source of healing for me. My presence of being there with her gives her happiness. It gives her that connection to my grandmother who's no longer with us. And I get to sit and laugh and see her as a woman, trying to be a better version of myself. And but that also includes doing some uncomfortable things like setting boundaries and cutting people out of my life that isn't deserving. But I want to say thank you for the platform. Really, thank you for that platform. And I pray that more people of color um, find the courage to do the things that they need to do, to talk about the things they need to talk about, get a therapist, okay? Just like they say, when you grow up, you need a financial advisor, you need an accountant, you need a lawyer, you need a therapist, you need a life coach. I believe that there's certain things that a self-love kit, it requires certain things. And I get if you can't afford it, I understand that, but make that a goal for you in your near future. So if you saying today, I want to be mentally well, and I want to do that with a life coach or a therapist, you do the research. See how much, it costs. Look around and don't take your first therapist. You better shop like you would shop for them Jordans that's coming out on the 25th and realize that they're going to challenge you. I think as a therapist, your job isn't to be our yes ma'am, or yes sirs. It's to challenge the thoughts that we're having, is to have us, again, take ownership of our lives through critical thinking. So if you can't afford it now, do the research and you find the person you want, you say, okay. And then you put that in your budget. If you don't have it, you save up. You take $5 every check. If you don't get it and you need it, say it to yourself, girl, you know you're amazing, you know? And so I will end it by saying this is a prayer that the serenity prayer, it matters. Um, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I hope you guys have an amazing, beautiful, healing uh, journey. And please, please remember, you don't do this alone.
It has been such a pleasure having you here with us today, my sister. Thank you so much for all the gems, all the words of wisdom, all the advice, all the love that you shared with us today. I will definitely have you on again. Many blessings to you, and thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.